Hello viewers, in my previous lecture I had discussed the relative configuration, that is D and the L configuration, and we know that all naturally occurring sugars have D configuration and all naturally occurring amino acids have L configuration except cysteine. So when we talk of capital D and capital L, we are talking of the configuration of the molecule as whole. We are not referring to configuration at the each chiral carbon. So we know that glucose, that is D-glucose, I am talking now from the point of configuration, capital D-glucose and capital L-glucose are a pair of enantiomers, that is, they are non-superimposable mirror images of each other. Whereas there are certain stereoisomers which differ in configuration at only one chiral carbon. And when they differ in configuration at only one chiral carbon, they will not be non-superimposable mirror images of each other. And now how do we indicate their configuration? Till date, the two older prefixes are used to distinguish diastereomers, and they are trio and the erythroforms. The prefixes erythro and trio are used to designate stereoisomers of acyclic molecules, that is open chain structures. And these names have been derived from diastereomeric aldoses, erythros and trios. In these saccharides, that is erythros and trios, when these molecules, these saccharides are drawn in Fischer projection, the erythros isomer has two identical substituents on the same side of the horizontal line, whereas trios isomer has identical substituents on opposite side of the plane, or they are on the opposite side of the horizontal lines. So we know now erythros is a aldotetrose with the OH group of its two asymmetric carbons situated on the same side of the Fischer projection. Whereas trios isomer is the diastereomer in which the OH groups are on the opposite sides of the horizontal line in Fischer's projection formula. On your screens now you can see the structures of erythros and trios. So erythros is a tetrose sugar. It has a aldehyde group, so we also call it belongs to the aldotetrose series. And what we find in this case, we can write two structures for this. In one, both the OH, so this carbon is a chiral carbon since it is attached to 4 different groups. Similarly, this carbon is also a chiral carbon since it is attached to 4 different groups, that is hydrogen, OH, hydroxymethyl, that is CH2OH, and CHOH, CHO. And similarly, this carbon is also chiral, that is H, it is attached to H, aldehyde group, OH group, and CHOH, CH2OH group. So when we talk of the orientation of the OH, so these two groups are identical, OHs are identical. When these two OH are on the same side of the horizontal lines, we say that this is the erythrose sugar, and when they are on the opposite sides of the horizontal lines, we say this is the triose sugar. So we apply this nomenclature, that is of erythro and triose, to those diastereomers which have two common atoms or groups bonded to each adjacent stereocenter. In other words, the terms erythro and trio are generally applied only to those molecules which contain two adjacent chiral centers, those chiral centers which are attached to two different groups, or we can even say three different groups, and they have unsymmetrical ends. For example, I can say we have this is a carbon which is attached to a R group here, and the two different groups attached to the carbon are A and B. Similarly, the two different groups attached to this carbon are A and B, and the terminals are unsymmetrical, or they are different, that this carbon is attached to one alkyl group which can be a methyl group, and then this is attached to a alkyl group which can be ethyl group. So the terminal groups also have to be different when we are using the terms erythro and the trio. So now on your screens you can see the structure of 2,3-dibromopentane, and when we talk of 2,3-dibromopentane, what are we talking of? We are comparing this structure with the structure of erythros, and therefore what we are using the term here erythro. And in this case what we find that the two groups which are different here, H and Br, which are attached to the first chiral carbon, and H and Br again is attached to the third chiral carbon, they are on the same site, and the terminal groups here are also different. One is ethyl group and the other is methyl group. Similarly, what we find for trio, we have two bromo groups are on the opposite sides of the horizontal line, whereas these two hydrogens are also on the opposite sides of the horizontal lines. So when we are writing, we can either talk of the R and the S configuration, which I shall be discussing subsequently. Today only we'll start with R and S configuration, but when we are talking of a relative configuration, we can also maintain the erythro and the trio forms here for indicating the relative position of the groups. The next structure is that of 3-chlorobutane 2-ol. That is, we are numbering it from down here. That is, this is your this would be 2-chloro. Sorry, this would be when we do the naming according to IUPAC name. Please remember, and the groups are the same. The OH group being the principal group will get the lower number. So in this case, the two groups which are, in this case I have taken three groups which are different. In the bromo derivative which we had taken earlier, that is 2,3-dibromo compound, in that case there were only two substituents which were different, whereas in this case we have three substituents which are different, like H and H is same, but the second substituent is Cl and the third substituent is OH. So here again we'll be talking on the basis, we'll give them the erythro and the trio nomenclature on the basis of the orientation of the identical groups. And what we find here, that the two identical groups here, H are on the same side of the horizontal group, horizontal bonds, whereas, so it is given the erythro nomenclature. Whereas when we talk of the trio form, in trio form, the two identical groups which are hydrogens, they are on the opposite side of the horizontal lines. So this is given the erythro nomenclature or erythro notation, and this is given the trio notation. So but now you have to remember, we can give the erythro and the trio notations only when the terminal groups are also different. If the terminal groups are same, that is they are symmetrical, then we do not use erythro or the trio notations. We prefer to use the meso and the DL nomenclature. That is, DL would be DL nomenclature instead of using erythro form. So here what you can see is the meso form we've shown here. Why have we shown the meso form? Because this compound is optically inactive due to plane of symmetry, right? And this plane of symmetry is because when we cut the molecule into two equal halves, it will be optically inactive. So the point that you have to keep in mind while you are giving the erythro and the trio notations, you have to keep in mind that these two groups should be different. Here H is different from OH, H is different from OH. That is, we have two identical groups, OH and H and H. This is fulfilling the condition, but these groups at the terminal are same. That is, we have a carboxylic group here and we have a carboxylic group here. So that means molecule is symmetrical, and we know if the molecule has an element of symmetry, this molecule has element of symmetry, so it will be optically inactive due to internal compensation, and we know such compounds are known as meso compounds. Here I have taken the example of tartaric acid. Similarly, when we talk of 2,3-dibromobutane, in 2,3-dibromobutane also the second condition, that is the groups at the terminals should be different, is not being fulfilled. Here it is, the groups are the same. So this molecule is again optically inactive due to plane of symmetry. So I have now, till now I have discussed with you the relative configurations, that is the DL configuration for enantiomers. And I have also discussed with you the erythro and the thrio notations for diastereomers. Now I would like to discuss the absolute configuration of molecules with you, of stereo isomers. So when we talk of why was there the need to talk of an absolute configuration, because there were limitations to the DL configuration. So when we talk of the DL system, we know that this system can be applied only when the main chain and the main substituents can be chosen without doubt. That is, we can use this system for, that is the DL system, for monosaccharides and amino acids, and it is still being used. But in case of molecules which are containing 4 non-carbon ligands, this system will not work. So on your screens now you can see an example of the molecule, that is bromochloroidomethane. And when we talk of this molecule, we find that all these 4 groups are different. So think yourself, how can we compare this molecule to glyceraldehyde? We cannot do so. So therefore we cannot give this molecule the relative configuration. We'll have to give it absolute configuration. So we say, when we talk of the DL system in sugars, it specifies the configuration only at 1 chiral carbon, that is at the highest numbered chiral carbon. And that means, what do you think? That we'll have to memorize the configurations at other chiral carbons? We know when we are talking of this glucose molecule, it has 4 chiral carbons, 1, 2, 3 and 4. That means second, third, fourth and fifth carbon is chiral. So we have to now memorize? No. We will follow certain rules to assign configurations to these stereo centers. And when we are talking of the D and the L configuration, we are discussing the configuration of the entire molecule with reference to glyceraldehyde, and glucose has configuration capital D because it has OH on the right hand side of the horizontal line in Fisher's projection formula at the highest numbered asymmetric carbon. So that means when we are talking of D, the D is indicating the relative configuration and plus is indicating that the molecule is optically active. So that means D, capital D plus D glucose actually indicates that the plus glucose, that is dextrorotatory glucose, has same configuration at the highest numbered asymmetric carbon as that of D-glyceraldehyde. So it is not referring to the configuration of the molecule at each chiral carbons. Therefore, and we also know that we cannot use DL notations to assign configurations to those molecules which are containing more than one chiral carbons. Because if they are containing more than one chiral carbons, so we are talking here of the configuration of OH at the highest numbered asymmetric carbon with reference to glyceraldehyde, in which the OH is on the right hand side of the horizontal line. So we assign it configuration D. But if the molecule has more than one chiral carbon, so then the question will arise that of what carbon am I talking? So I have just scrolled back to tell you that we are talking of this orientation. We are referring to configuration at this chiral carbon. What about this? What about this? What about this configuration of groups at these chiral carbons? So a new method, that is the absolute configuration, has to be followed. Why do we have to follow absolute configuration? Because this method of unambiguously assigning the actual arrangement of substituents in space around a chiral center with its stereochemical descriptors ROS is called the absolute configuration. So that means when we are giving absolute configuration to a molecule, we are talking without doubt about the specific arrangement of substituents in space around a chiral center. And this specific arrangement of groups around the chiral center is then described by the notations R or S. And this system was given by Kahn, Ingold and Prelog, and it is the most widely accepted system for naming the configuration of the chiral centers. And according to this system, each asymmetric carbon atom is assigned a letter R or letter S based on its configuration, that is based on the rules given by Kahn, Ingold and Prelog, which are also known as CIP rules. So in order to assign RS configuration to a molecule, we have to follow two steps according to Kahn-Ingold rules. The first says that we have to assign priorities to the substituents, and second, then the name, that is the R or the S configuration, is assigned on the basis of relative position of these substituents. This I shall be discussing in detail. The second point, both the points will be discussed in detail. So, but before we give assign configuration to a molecule, whether it is R or S, we have to first give priority to the substituents which are attached to the chiral carbon. So, and how do we give priorities to the groups or to the substituents which are attached to the chiral carbons? The substituents are given priority according to the following rules, which are, now if all the four atoms attached to zero centers are different, their priority will be decided on the basis of their atomic numbers. The atoms of higher atomic number will get higher priority. For as you can see on your screens, example of again bromochloroiodomethane. We know that iodine has the highest atomic number, so this has been given priority 1, then bromine followed by bromine, then chlorine, and then hydrogen has the lowest atomic number. So here 1 is indicating the group which is having highest priority, 2 is having priority is placed at position 2, chlorine is at position 3, and hydrogen is having the lowest priority. And as on your screens, I have now just gathered it for you, that if these are the atoms which are directly attached to a chiral center, we can assign them priority. That is, iodine, as you've seen, had higher priority in the previous example because its atomic number is 53. It was followed by bromine, whose atomic number was 35, followed by chlorine, whose atomic number was 17, and hydrogen had the least priority because its atomic number was 1. So if the atoms directly attached to the chiral center are different, we can straight away give priority on the basis of atomic numbers, and the group atoms having higher atomic number will be given higher priority. And now if instead of atoms we have some isotopes of an element also attached to a chiral center. In this case you can see that we have hydrogen and deuterium. We know deuterium is the isotope of hydrogen, that is protonium, and here the 4 groups are bromine, methyl, hydrogen and deuterium. That means now in this case we will be taking atomic mass and not atomic number, because we know that atomic number of isotopes is same, their mass number is different. So when we take the mass number, it is not that for hydrogen and deuterium you will be taking the mass number and for methyl and bromine you will be taking atomic number. No, in this case we shall be comparing the atomic masses of all the 4 groups, and on basis of that what we find that bromine has the highest priority because the atomic number of bromine is highest. Then we have carbon, carbon is directly attached to carbon, followed by the atomic number of carbon, then deuterium, and hydrogen has the lowest atomic mass number, that is 1. But in this case please remember we are not taking atomic numbers, that we are taking atomic masses. So because if we were taking atomic number, okay, here the atomic number of bromine is different from carbon, but what about deuterium and hydrogen? So don't do the mistake which I just did 2 minutes before, because unconsciously I started comparing them on the basis of atomic numbers. You don't have to do that. We have to compare them on the basis of atomic masses, and we know the atomic mass of bromine is 81, carbon is 12, hydrogen is 1 and deuterium is 3. So bromine has the highest priority, followed by CH3, then deuterium, and hydrogen has the lowest priority. And now the rule number 2 says, that is, if we cannot decide the priority on the basis of the atom which is directly attached to the chiral carbon, then we will keep on comparing the atomic numbers of the atoms till we reach a point of difference. And please remember, we will note the atomic numbers at the point of difference. We will not, I repeat, we will not add the atomic numbers. So rule number 2 says, if 2 of the atoms attached to chiral center are same and their priority sequence cannot be decided on the basis of rule 1, the relative priorities can be decided by comparing the second or even third or fourth atom of the respective group. So we will keep on comparing the priorities from atom to atom till we reach a point of difference. Here again on your screens you can see few groups attached, displayed in decreasing order of priority. That is, in this case I'll just take these 2 examples to explain what I mean here. That is, if we talk of carbon, which is directly attached to a chiral center here, this is indicating that this bond. So this carbon has atomic number 6, this carbon also has atomic number 6. So both the groups have the same priority, we cannot decide. We go on to hydrogen. Hydrogen has atomic number 1. Here say hydrogen has atomic number 1, so the same priority. But when we go on to hydrogen and we compare the chlorine here, we find that chlorine has higher atomic number 17, that is 17 is more than hydrogen, more than 1. So what are we doing? We are comparing atomic number 1 with 17. So what we find, that this group will have higher priority. Why will this group have higher priority? Because when we are comparing bromine, here we will do the comparison between hydrogen and chlorine. Okay, fine, chlorine is having higher atomic number, but when we talk of bromine, here bromine is having higher atomic number as compared to chlorine. So what did we do? We compared carbon with carbon, which is having atomic number 6. Then we went on to hydrogen, and hydrogen, it was having atomic number 1. We cannot decide. So we went on to next atom, bromine and chlorine. Here bromine has higher atomic number as were compared to chlorine. So this group, bromomethyl group, has high priority as compared to dichloromethyl group. And that is how we compare the priorities of two groups, that is by comparing the atomic numbers from atom to atom. So this is what I have shown here in the example, that hydrogen has atomic number 1, which is lowest, so its priority is lowest, 4. Chlorine is having priority number 1. Now we have to decide the priorities of these two groups, and in these two groups we cannot decide priority on the basis of carbon, because carbon is having the same atomic number. So we go on to hydrogen. Hydrogen here is also having atomic number 1, but when we go to this group here, carbon is having atomic number 6. So this has higher priority as compared to hydrogen, to this hydrogen here. So we say this group is having higher priority 1, this is having 2, this is having 3, and this is having 4. And this again I have shown in this example, that this is how I have shown that groups arranged in a perspective formula when they are having different priorities. And this you can see we have compared again priorities on basis of atom to atom, and we find that this group, isopropyl group, has the highest priority because this carbon is attached to 2 carbons, whereas this carbon is attached to a hydrogen here. And in this case, so this is having priority number 2. And when we compare 2 and 3, third is having lower priority because in this case carbon is attached to 2 hydrogens. Same, this group is same here. But then this carbon we'll say is attached to a carbon which is attached to hydrogen. And this carbon here is attached, this carbon is attached to a carbon which is attached to bromine. And this bromine has higher priority as a higher atomic number as compared to hydrogen. So this group is given higher priority when we are comparing it to ethyl group. Now the last point that I would like to discuss while we are giving priority to the groups is that if the second atom is attached to the chiral carbon by a double or a triple bond, then double bonds are treated as they are made up of 2 single bonds, and triple bonds are thought of as they are made up of 3 single bonds. So in case we have this group attached to the chiral carbon, what you have to imagine is that you will break this bond, and when we break this bond, that means then you have to imagine that this carbon is attached to 2 carbons and this carbon itself is attached to 2 carbons because we are duplicating it here. So this is what we've shown here, that when we give priority to these groups, this C double bond C will be treated as though one C is attached to 2 carbons, 1 carbon and 2 carbons, and similarly this carbon here is again attached to 2 carbons, carbon and carbon. So for the day I have discussed with you how will we give priority to the groups on the basis of Kahn-Ingold P-log methods. Now in the next lecture we shall now briefly discuss these rules and go on to step number 2 as to how to assign configuration to the molecules on the basis of the priority of these groups. Thank you.